Hello, everyone, and welcome to cryptionxyz, the new podcast covering diverse voices and the most unique stories. My name is Ved Luhana, and I'm a strategy analyst at Bitpanda Pro, as well as a DeFi investor. Every episode will introduce a new guest and tell their stories, from their beginnings to their current projects and to what their future holds. Join me and listen if you're ready to become a link in the chain. And our very first guest on cryptionxyz is Taran. Taran is the president of the prestigious Cambridge Blockchain Society, or CBS for short, and we actually met at their conference recently, which is where we hatched the idea to have him on as our very first guest. He brings us an exclusive project announcement, the Metaverse University, a digital decentralized academic establishment created to further research, education, and innovation in the fields of Web3 and blockchain, both in the UK and globally. Not only that, we touch on how students should get into blockchain and Web3 and what the most important skills needed in the space. We also discuss CBS in much more detail and some of his other projects such as Nillion and Decent DAO. So join us and listen to cryptionxyz. Hey everyone, welcome to cryption.xyz. Here today we have Taran, and I'll let him introduce himself.
Hello, everyone. Thanks, Vade, for having me on. I'm looking forward to this podcast. I'm a physics student at Cambridge University, and also I'm the president of the Cambridge Blockchain Society. We're a bunch of students hacking away at all things Web3 and crypto here at Cambridge, and happy to be here.
Perfect. Thanks for coming on, Taran. It's obviously we met each other at the CBS event the other week, which was really cool to attend. I'm glad to have you on, and I'd like to definitely hear more about your kind of path into blockchain. So we'll come to CBS in a minute, but just a general question I ask all podcast guests, very basic. How did you yourself get started in the blockchain world?
I actually got started in early 2020 when I bought the book Bitcoin Standard. And I got quite deep down the rabbit hole of reading the white paper and reading the book. And my actually intro was through like ocean economics, and because I'd never studied economics in my life, I found it quite interesting to be diving deep into like different aspects of economics and how well how Bitcoin fixes this, and I really like the idea of sort of like a decentralized open currency, which also innovates on distributed computing. So I guess that was my first sort of path into blockchain, and then since I've worked in a lot of different projects. I got involved with community building. I was, quite early. I like formed Discord servers and managed Discord servers for some people and some projects. Learned about DeFi, and sort of like rode the DeFi wave. Learned about loads of different DeFi protocols like Uniswap when Uniswap got released, and DYDX and the like. And since I've also taken some interest in development, when over the summer I learned Solidity and full stack JavaScript, through a bootcamp by Encode Club, bunch of amazing people. I loved
Nice.
it. It was loads of lectures every day, homework. We built a project at the end. Yeah, it was good. It was like really strong community, and now we sometimes talk, even though it's been over 8 months. And yeah, over
Yeah.
the last 6 months, I've just been like just diving deep into loads of various different projects, and it's quite exciting to also be working at a VC. I'm an investment researcher of DeFi at OP Crypto. OP Crypto
Nice.
is a venture firm based out of New York, founded by people at large exchanges and so on. And it's great to be, looking at brand new projects and seeing how you can help them grow, and just seeing the space evolve from sort of a like sort of a third person perspective, which is what VCs usually are on. Um, and yeah, that's more or less me. I love all things GameFi. I love all things NFTs. I love all things DeFi. And uh, just like to read a lot of research posted on Delphi and Masari. Interact with loads of different teams. And yeah, just building a community is where I got started, and which is what I've done with the Cambridge Blockchain Society.
Nice. No, I mean, you've just listed, I think, every single aspect to blockchain there probably could be. So nice. It's cool to hear all your experiences and definitely hearing about how you started out. And where you've got to is obviously such a large jump. So it's nice to see people who are passionate about crypto and blockchain rather than pumping and dumping, as some would say. And obviously for everyone listening, all of Taran's links will be in the description and down below, so you can check him out at any time. So touching on CBS, because obviously you said that you were president, and that's how I also got in contact with you by attending the event. Who are CBS, and why does CBS run what they do?
Yeah, I mean, CBS has had a long history. I can give a brief breakdown. Initially, it
Mm-hmm.
was launched in 2016, and it was called the Cambridge Cryptographic Currency Society. It was just a group of like 5 to 10 like postgraduate students and researchers who were into crypto, and they invited Vitalik, the founder of Ethereum, to Cambridge for a series of lectures, and they were very impressed. But over time, it sort of died out. And in 2019, it got revived as Cambridge Blockchain Society. And for a year and a half, the previous committees did some hackathons, some workshops, but no real community building. There was no Discord. It was just managed through one really vanilla mailing list.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, yeah, it sort of like died out again because of COVID. It
Mm-hmm.
was a generational opportunity. Crypto is a generational opportunity to not only make money but make truthful impact on people and like attempt to change the value transfer system in the world. Um, and to mimic that, Cambridge is very well known for its technology and especially advancements in health tech and software engineering. Some of the largest like software companies and
Mm-hmm.
tech companies are based out of Cambridge. Like I worked at CMR Surgical as a software engineering intern before coming to university for about 11 months. They are a surgical robotics company who built a surgical system for laparoscopic surgery, which was extremely cool. I got, introduced to like the language C for low-level coding, wrote a lot of Python, got to play around with the robot. And there's also companies like Arm. Arm's got about 3,000 employees in Cambridge.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it's a very, very large name in hardware space. Nvidia tried to take over Arm, and that would have brought about 40 billion pounds into Cambridge's ecosystem, which is crazy. Um, and yeah, Microsoft, Apple, Raspberry Pi is headquartered in Cambridge. So there's a lot of technological innovation. So I
Mm-hmm.
thought I approached the previous committee and sort of I wanted to build out the community of crypto enthusiasts or Web3 enthusiasts, or even sort of like highlight the different career opportunities, project opportunities in this industry to
Mm-hmm.
students at Cambridge. So we started off in September. I set up the Discord. We were bootstrapping. I found a few cool people who would help me build this. Amazing, amazing team. And we got the Discord ready, and slowly but surely we grew to about nearly 1,000 people on Discord. And yeah, in first term, we organized quite a few things. First was an introduction to blockchain event, which is sort of aimed for the layman because most students, well, 99% of students don't really understand what blockchain or what Web3 even is. And they are
Mm-hmm.
very skeptical because, I mean, rightfully so, there is a lot of mal, wrong behaviors in crypto, like
Yeah.
pump and dumps and so on. And like they don't really help the people who are after something after a career. They
Yeah.
don't want to pursue a career in something that is perceived as risky or a scam. So we got that event organized, and we had a series of like socials, reading groups, where we read a lot of white papers, and we also thought of launching a club-wide consultancy where company we get approached by a lot of companies for blockchain consultancy, and obviously we have to turn them down. But this is sort of a huge opportunity for students to get involved if they are already into Web3 and have worked on projects before. They're in a very
Mm-hmm.
strong position to be able to advise a lot of companies on how to, on technologically or strategically. And that's still under the works. And in November, I thought, it'd be cool to talk to other presidents and other, club leads on how they're growing out their clubs. So we founded the University Blockchain Association, me and Simran at Cambridge, along with Kayvan, president of Oxford. He's one of the smartest people I know,
Nice.
and a few London-based clubs. And now that it's just a Telegram group, but we share about all things related to clubs, share events and how we are thinking about doing things, because we all are in a very prestigious sort of like position where we have access to a lot of capital, we have access to a lot of talent, which is what the industry really needs. And we get approached by a lot of amazing industry partners, and we don't usually have the capacity to be able to, you know, work on this. So now that's grown to about 70 different clubs all over
Wow.
America, including the top
Nice.
schools and Europe and Southeast Asia. And yes, Fred, we met at the Cambridge Blockchain Conference, which we bootstrapped in about 2.5 weeks, but we managed to put together an amazing day of events with a workshop, careers fairs, and we also had some pretty high profile talks by in the main panel we had Stani from Aave, Eli, founder of Starkware. We also had like an amazing healthcare panel and on why blockchain adoption in healthcare has not been that sort of like widespread yet. And we
Yeah.
also had Justin Drake, who's the lead of the Ethereum merge, talk about Ethereum 2.0.
Yeah.
And yeah, we had about 400 plus students, or 400 plus people from all over the country attending. It was great.
Yeah.
And in the future, next term we'll be busy with exams, but hopefully we can just organize some meetups. Really, that's the minimum we should organize for next term.
Yeah. No, I mean, touching on what you said about the conference, I really enjoyed Justin Drake's talk. I mean, coming into the space as not as a developer, not knowing anything, I've done a bit of front end, like I know JavaScript as a basic level, but hearing kind of the detail that you went into and how far deep you can go into the rabbit hole is crazy. So yeah, Justin Drake's talk, and I guess all the speakers were really enjoyable. And it definitely was. I think it was very open for me personally as a layman. You could definitely listen to the talks and know what they were talking about rather than just being lost, which sometimes I find myself in the crypto world. Touching on what you said right at the beginning of when you were introducing CBS, that you thought crypto and I guess blockchain in general was a generational opportunity, and talking about how you want to organize meetups and where you want to take CBS. What, if I had to ask you and put you on the spot, which is a bit hard, what is CBS's ultimate mission or goal? Is it to improve accessibility or to reach or to reach a certain goal?
I guess the ultimate mission is to harness. Web3 has a lot of like faults, I guess. It's not like blockchains are inherently unscalable. And to scale up like the level of like if you just look at payments, like in total, the USD undergoes like hundreds of thousands of transactions every second. Sort of like harnessing Cambridge's amazing talent here at university, and like introducing those people to what has been built already, and where the main areas of potential new innovation are. And then just those people using CBS as a platform is not really meant to be a group, or like is not really meant to develop its own reputation. I think CBS is just meant to be a platform for students to highlight their own projects and their own involvement, and where students, because I'm a student myself, I want to help. I have so much to learn from other students here. Like Inte as a CTO is a much better developer than me. And I, over the summer, I want to, hone my developer skills a bit more by revisiting Solidity and a few other things. So I want students to be able to use CBS as a platform to gain more exposure to the industry initially. And then once they do that, once they join amazing teams, when they build amazing things, add to the industry or build something even better than what blockchains offer. Because let's face it, I mean, blockchains are not the do-all end-all. They are an amazing advancement in and can lead to a lot of innovation in lots of different sectors, as we can see in the decentralized finance. But at the same time, it's got a long way to go. and I want
Yeah.
students at Cambridge to be at the forefront of that, um, and uh, and just to inspire new ideas, new creativity, and like that's what we really want to do. Right now, it's still like we're bootstrapping at CBS.
Hmm.
It's almost like the society was just founded a few months ago, and like we haven't figured things out at all. Um, and it will take us time to figure things out. That's okay.
Yeah.
It takes time, but we're making several steps in the right direction, and we've built an amazing student network. And I think the best thing we can do in 2021, 2022, the best thing we have done is sort of get students together,
Yeah.
so that they exchange contact information and then stay in touch and discuss ideas amongst themselves, sort of build a community, but a community, and then the community builds itself.
Yeah. No, I mean, definitely you guys have a very active Discord, which I'll also leave down for people to access. But it's definitely a very cool community you guys have kind of cultivated in, I guess, what would be a short time, um, if you could see it like that. So, um, touching on something you said there, I also attended the Near Web Development series, the first two episodes recently, and obviously, like I said, coming from a non-technical background, it's been cool to see the intros. It's been cool to attend all of them. And I think it's very invaluable what you guys are providing there. So what you said, a platform, exactly that. Um, touching on, I guess, education, because that's what I'm talking about with the Near Web series. What space in blockchain do you think needs the most education? And if you could, in an ideal world, let's say you weren't bootstrapped, and let's say there was no restrictions on you, how would you provide that as an individual or as CBS, whichever you prefer?
So if I understand the question correctly, what areas in blockchain are the most interesting to look at? Is that
No, do you think need the most education? So what ones are the hardest
oh
to navigate?
oh I guess high level, extremely high level. My mom doesn't really understand what blockchain even is. Like we like to think the Web3 community is a lot larger than it actually is. It's so small. It's
Mm,
extremely small actually. I think out of the 1,000 or so students in CBS, okay, 1,500 students or so in CBS, probably about 300 invest, like 300 to 400 invest passively, 100 probably actively, and I'd say 50. Oh, actually, there are quite a few developers here at Cambridge. But I'd say about 50 active developers within the
okay.
ecosystem, and about 10 people actively working in the space. No, about 25 to 50 people working actively in the space. So it's
Okay.
still extremely small out of the university, a university with 25,000 people.
Yeah.
Um, so I guess like higher level wise, how like Web3 changes people's lives in a way like how are NFTs useful? Sort of providing that layer for trusted, reputable education or resource channel that people like my mom can use
Mm,
to sort of learn more about the space and how it's gonna, like how the space is gonna look 5 years from now. So so it is why university-based research is so prestigious. It
okay.
is because universities over the last 800 years, like Cambridge has been around 800, 900 years,
Hmm.
built that reputation that has led to a lot of advancements in technology, a lot of advancements in regulation, compliance, a lot of advancements in innovation as well, just by research they have done, right?
Hmm.
Like there's been so many like Nobel Prize winners. Oppenheimer for the nuclear warheads or the
Yeah.
nuclear missiles, nuclear bomb,
Hmm.
studied here in Cambridge. Roger Penrose, Nobel Prize
Yeah.
in Physics, one of my heroes, he studied here in Cambridge. Stephen Hawking studied here in Cambridge. Ramanujan studied in Cambridge. Isaac
Yeah.
Newton studied in Cambridge. Niels Bohr? No, I'm not sure if Niels Bohr did. And Darwin from on
Yeah.
evolutionary theory studied in Cambridge. So like they have built the reputation, and it's a household name, and people would trust like things coming out of Cambridge. Like that's just and like it's not meant to be. It's sort of like Cambridge can be a thought leader in the Web3 space, really,
Hmm.
as a university by doing hands-down research. And like on the protocol layer, I don't really understand most blockchains, like the way that the language they're written in, um, or like accessible information on like on the protocol layer itself, but application layer, that's where adoption really happens, right? Most people
Hmm.
don't understand how the internet really works, how HTTPS even works. So I envision like the major blockchains to just disappear, disappear as in like just be in the back end. It's like and users like with the Play Store, they know Facebook, but they don't really know HTTPS.
Yeah.
So that sort of is the vision of most people in the industry. Like, m- as long as the underlying layer is secure, scalable, fast, quick, and serves a purpose, then yeah, why should it not just disappear?
Yeah, no, no. I mean that is very true. I was speaking to my dad recently about, well, firstly about the podcast and also about joining Bitpanda as an exchange. He was like, "What is blockchain? What is cryptocurrency?" And I was like, "Damn, that's a long conversation. And that's a difficult one to explain." So I definitely agree. I think the basic foundational layer of crypto would definitely increase mainstream adoption, and I think sometimes also the media narrative plays on the fact that um, it is effectively, if you think about cryptocurrency, killing banks, and therefore the traditional players in the biggest markets do not want banks to die. So steering that narrative towards a negative one is obviously something in their interest. So um, I think definitely there is this kind of sense around crypto and blockchain that it's a scam, don't trust it, rug pulls, blah blah blah. But
Yeah,
um, yeah, no,
I,
I can definitely agree with you. And
I think on the career wise as well, like most students right now, our age, are focused on getting that McKinsey, Goldman Sachs, or
mhm,
Citi, or the major banking or consultancy internships. I can see the merit in that, like I only recently changed my mind on this. But like after someone I respect a lot told me that being institutionalized in an institution, like being an analyst level position for 3 years, sort of hones your organizational skills, makes you, a lot more professional, gives
mhm,
you an idea of how companies and large scale businesses actually work, and sort of bringing that experience and knowledge to smaller scale projects is extremely beneficial. So I changed my mind on that. I'm still not applying for any banking internships. I've turned down a very, very large internship, but I think with most students, once they realize the generational opportunity, and also like if you just look at trends, right? Most of the senior level people in banking are leaving banking,
yeah,
right? Like it is that is a trend. Like Interface, one of the companies in Cambridge, who also presented at the pitch competition,
yeah,
they are onboarding some amazing people from banking, like some of the C-level, C-suite people, and they are extremely excited. These C-level, C-suite people, regardless of what the institution thinks, they personally are very excited about the Web3 space and they want to enter. We can see people from Blackstone leaving. We can see people from like large trading firms who don't trade crypto are leaving into crypto native trading firms.
yeah,
Um, we are sort of like seeing that transition happen. That same like that we saw a similar transition again from banking and traditional finance to the internet industry
yeah,
back in like mid to the late 2000s.
mhm,
When the Googles and the Facebooks came about, we sort of saw that transition as well.
yeah. No, I mean, even look at one of your guys' lead sponsors at the event, GSR. I also have a personal, yeah, big up. I mean, I have a personal connection inside GSR who works on the investment side, and she used to work at a PE fund, a very big one in London, and she left because she was so excited by digital assets. And since she's joined, I think their headcount has gone from 30 to almost 250, and she's only
Yep.
been there for nigh on, I think, a year and a half.
hmm
So
They've grown massively.
yeah,
They are, well, I might as well mention GSR is a market making firm mainly based out of, I think based out of New York, but they've got a London office. Great
mhm,
people, really like them. They're doing some like exciting new things. Some I can't say publicly, but like some really, really exciting new things. I like the team and they're amazing sponsors.
yeah,
And yeah, like a lot of the people there are ex-banking.
yeah,
Like some people are extremely impressive. I think a lot of like recent graduates from Cambridge who worked say McKinsey or some of the other trading firms or some of the other banks
Hmm.
are now leaving as well. Like, they usually have like two-year probationary period or whatever at
Hmm.
Goldman, and a couple of my friends are leaving. So exciting new times.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, even I don't know if you saw it this morning. Sorry, don't know if you saw it this morning, but they had a slide deck leaked. I mean, on one of the slides, they said that Circle Finance and Ripple were two things that were the biggest opportunities for big finance players to get into, in terms of payment structures. So, I mean, there's something as obviously Ripple's been around and it's a big name when you think about it, but when you think about someone as big as Goldman Sachs saying they want to integrate it as part of their payment section it's mind blowing, I guess. Um, and I guess we'll veer a little bit from my questions because I wanted to ask something about what you just said there. Um, what do you think? And this is a big question; it's a bit loaded, so you can answer it short if you want. What do you think is the sustainability of someone getting a career in blockchain?
Um, yeah, I'm very early, so I'm not really sure either. I'm only 20 and I'm still just starting out. Sustainability wise, I guess like the skills you learn from it, from being involved in early stage projects, from either working at like I guess mid to large blockchain companies like Bitpanda or GSR, who are still extremely small companies on the large scale of things. You can get that entrepreneurial exposure you need to the industry.
Mhm.
Most crypto companies also like OP is great. I've been part of the OP team. Big shout out to David and Lucas. Since November, I've written research reports. I get to interact with early stage projects like almost on a daily basis. I've seen the team grow from like 6 people to now nearly 20 people. Amazing, amazing team from, we have a couple of people from Oxford, some Wharton, Harvard, and David, he was one of the directors at Hobby. And yeah, it's that sort of opportunity where I I work at OP, but at the same time, I have the flexibility and independence to work on other projects and
Mhm.
also study my degree at the same time. So that sort of aspect of doing multiple things at once is what I don't know any single person within the industry who are working less than two jobs.
Mm. Yeah,
Or
yeah,
yeah,
or who at least have like two projects on the go at the same time.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
actually don't know any single person actually. Yeah.
Well, well, that's the beauty of it. I guess you have that flexibility that if you want to do multiple projects, you're not tied down to a company. You're tied down to a
Hmm.
project um, which you are giving your time to, which obviously has a community behind it. So it's not like it's just a you thing. There's also a force behind it, which is it's cool. It's cool. I guess we'll move on a little bit to another project that you told me about before we took the podcast, the Metaverse University. I mean, I guess you'd intro it best, so I'll let you take the floor.
Yeah, just a disclaimer, it's extremely early. We just want to do it extremely properly. And this is actually the first time we've gone public with it, actually. This podcast will be the first announcement from Metaverse
Nice,
University, I guess.
nice.
Um, so what apply like when we actually set up the University Blockchain Association, me, Simran, and a couple other people thought, how can we like scale things up? Then we also got approached by Starkware and quite a lot of other companies blockchain companies, they have a lot of resources. They make a lot of money, first of all. And second of all, they want to expand their ecosystem. And investment in education is sort of the long-term sustainable way to grow ecosystems and to grow so that these students who go through the educational courses, for example, they end up like becoming developers or becoming active contributors to the ecosystem. So long
Mhm.
term, it is extremely sustainable. You can see that through like companies like the Big Four putting their employees through accountancy degrees
Mm.
and whatnot. You can treat of it as a similar sort of way, and like they usually don't have the bandwidth in their team to be able to offer these courses, and also they need something that can scale up. My first year, because I'm a second year student, my first year of university was completely destroyed by COVID to the point where One of my tutors actually specifically said that we were the worst performing year academically since World War II. Um, like
Nice.
that's not
That's
because
supportive. That's a good teacher right there.
yeah, I mean like he's not wrong to be fair. It's not like we're dumb, but like
but mm,
it was COVID was a shock to the education system. They
yep,
didn't know how to cope. I study physics. Physics labs are extremely hands-on and practical,
yep,
and they were done online. The Cambridge was not adapted at all. Sorry, Cambridge physics department, but you guys did an extremely bad job. Like the lectures were online, they were fine. Lectures were okay. They were uninteractive. You could just pause to the point where most students didn't even get to watch most lectures. They went get a coffee, and then a 1 hour lecture turned into a 3 hour lecture,
mm,
and so on. It wasn't fun at all, and we didn't make any friends. Everyone was locked in their rooms,
yep,
and like there was nothing social going on, and it was not interactive at all. It was
hmm,
such a big shock to the system. And if you think about this, right, there are places in like countries like India, some countries in Africa, where they don't have the infrastructure ready for education. And it will take years to get like formal education set up in those
hmm,
countries. But what
yep,
if access to internet and energy was the only thing they needed to access education? And Google's their king. But it's not structured, it's not interactive.
yep,
So I guess metaverses bring about that sort of interactive aspect to online interactions online in a
yep,
virtual setting with sort of like value transfer mechanisms that blockchain brings about in place
hmm,
to also make it attractive for students to learn and also for teachers to teach.
yep,
Um, and I definitely think the future of learning will be online. Distance learning will be a new thing, right? Like I want for UK based, like sort of like a prestige, academic prestige of all the amazing universities of Russell Group in the UK. They've got the
mm,
best sort of, educational systems in the world. Bringing that to countries which cannot access it, and also
hmm,
bringing that to the Web3 space. So you not only utilizing Web3 based tools like metaverses, and having college-based buildings and holding courses inside the metaverse setting, also like just utilizing this as well for the Web3 based companies. Like
hmm,
for example, the Near Web series we're doing, it's to be honest, it's great. I'm loving it. I reached out to Near. We Cambridge actually led the structure of it. Got a lot of other clubs involved, like Princeton, HKU, Bath, Near Foundation, obviously
hmm,
involved. It's not interactive though. It's not really that structured for the student, right? Like
yep,
we're not setting any homework certification. There might be some, but it's still great. Students get to
yep,
learn directly, and for the clubs, they get to learn how to teach courses. So
yep,
that's sort of what we're bootstrapping with that. How do we scale that up? Like have them constantly have trained instructors who are paid, and do it in a more interactive setting, and then make sure students are getting what they want out of it. For
yep,
example, be able to offer scholarship programs, have access to employment, and also set up a one platform which is extremely trusted by universities, bringing, as I said earlier, bring the reputation of UK-based universities
hmm,
to this extremely early and amateur space. We're very, very early, where there's a lot of faults, bringing that reputation and doing good things with it, by offering scholarships, offering for companies offering courses, and for students offering those courses where they can learn, training teachers who'd want to be teaching the next core of students and actually getting paid really
yep,
well to do so, offering scholarships for students, offering students direct recruitment pathways into partner companies, and also for on the companies end being able to access that talent from that talent pool. So sort of like
yep,
a return on investment, as you can think. This is completely non-profit. Um, Sort of like thought leaders will be able to like strategically shape the narrative around the
hmm,
Web3 industry, and also the net benefit it can bring. And at the same time, they get to educate the future generation of leaders, and like that's sort of the most attractive bit for it. Sort of like exploring knowledge-based systems and educational systems uh, in the future through very like virtual interactive systems, and exploring the ethos for knowledge for all is sort of what we're trying to do for it. We're very early. The initial founding partners are looking to be UK based or universities from the University Blockchain Association.
Yeah.
It's not been fully finalized yet, and also have like sort of like key cornerstone partners who are extremely committed to growing the Web3 space,
Hmm.
onboarding talent, like forming recruitment pathways, forming research hubs, and it's a very large project. We're just three people bootstrapping it at the moment. We've spoken to a lot of industry people,
Yeah.
and they're all extremely interested. And we are in early stages of setup. So obviously, if anyone listening wants to get involved, just reach out. I think the email's info at the-university.io. Just reach out to that email. And we're not hoping it to be like we're probably not going to be calling ourselves co-founders. We're hoping it to be completely community run. We want a team of like a core team that obviously um will will be involved in day to day. Partners, students who are extremely interested and can commit to learning like something full time over a course of like 4 weeks or 6 weeks. And we've already bootstrapped a scholarship program between Oxford and Cambridge over Christmas, where we
Nice.
had about 60 developers go through a Solidity course full time. It was great.
Wow.
Those guys, it was a very, very diverse group of individuals, very, very smart, much smarter than me, most of them. Um, Much more experience, different experience levels, the bachelor's undergrad degrees, some are
Hmm.
postgraduates, some had already had 20 years of industry experience.
Nice.
Um, Getting that sort of like that fee paid, and also they got to present a project, Solidity project, which they're presenting in 2 days' time
Oh wow.
to the others. Yeah. So
Nice.
yeah, so that's what we're trying to do with Metaverse University. It's a very large project, but it's still extremely early stage, and we don't want to sort of like promise things that we can't deliver on yet,
No, of
because
course.
we're limited. The three of us. Well, it's a non-profit first of all.
Hmm.
Second of all, we're all three of us are students.
Yeah.
So um, yeah, time-wise as well, it takes a lot of time to set up. We
Yeah.
envision it to be a proper university 10 years down the line. Be able to offer certified courses.
Yeah. No, of course. I mean, like you've handed me some stuff and I've read it and it looks amazing, especially as a non-technical person. I think having that, even if you don't know how to code Solidity or Rust, having the kind of background knowledge to know that that's how it runs or how that's how people write smart contracts is very important. And I'm sure you can like vouch for me in terms of VC roles, even though you're looking into the project, you're looking into like the financials, and there's different aspects to it. Understanding the actual product behind it because you know Solidity or Rust, or just have a basic understanding of how it works, is definitely really important. And I guess
Or
for all
if it
students,
works.
yeah, or if it works, or if it even it like can it go on the main net? Does it need to stay on the dev net? Will it be audited? Is it possible? Like that type of thing of understanding, even understanding what dev net and main net the difference is important, and it's something that can definitely elevate, I guess, your knowledge of the whole space. So touching on, I guess, Metaverse University and I guess students in general, um, why, if I was a student, should I get involved? And why do you personally want more students to be involved with blockchain?
Um, there's lots of career opportunities. Like if regardless of who you are, if you're very technical, there's obviously the gold rush is for developers at the moment. But every single project is usually looking for people, regardless. Like, even if they don't advertise any roles, if you just reach out, you're probably and if you are keen, you'll probably get involved. That's the point where most projects are. Even the large companies like Near Foundation, like
Hmm.
Ethereum Foundation, and Polygon, and so on. These large protocols and companies, they're still quite early. And if people want to get involved, regardless of whether they want to go into like business development, into operations, into sales, into marketing, into strategic partnerships, into development, into growth, into talent acquisition, into recruitment, there's so many different opportunities for students to get involved. And
Yeah.
like because there's not enough data, It's not really public yet, but blockchain companies pay really well.
Yeah.
Um,
No.
so
Yeah.
so I think most people they apply for banking and finance is because it looks good to others. I definitely do think so. Like, it's sort of like signals that you're gonna have a safe career, you're gonna work at a top institution, you're gonna make the best money on earth, which honestly I don't think is true. I know so many companies who paying like really good money for students for good talent. Um,
Hmm.
and like regardless of the role. So I just think like students, if they want to gain exposure entrepreneurially, like get entrepreneurial exposure or gain exposure to just wider industry and know a lot of different people, form connections. I guess networking, the term networking is used a lot at universities. If they want to do actual networking, work with different people on different projects, build their reputation, crypto's Web3 is the I guess I shouldn't be using the word crypto because it's got negative connotations a lot of the time. Um, I guess the industry
But
is
Web
amazing
three.
for that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I
Yeah,
mean
to the point
definitely.
where to the point where you get if you're very new, you just need to spend a few weeks learning, see what you're interested in, and just narrow down the focus a little bit.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't, and if it just means that you're not interested in it 10 weeks down the line, that's fine. Just switch, go into something else. Initially, if you say DeFi is your point, just like learn Uniswap, just read the Uniswap version 2
Yeah.
vibe, which I think is really good.
Yeah.
And then, like, if you don't like it, just go on to NFTs. If you think NFTs are amazing, just like get involved with NFT communities, learn from them, like actively contribute. Like you can just be a community manager. Community manager
Yeah.
roles are very important for each community.
Definitely. No, I mean I would argue probably I would say the most important because you have developers, but I would say as a non-technical role, I think to be honest, community management and community lead is probably one of the biggest. And um, I guess you kind of answered my other question, which was where do you see non-technical students going? So I'll leave that one out. Um, but I guess if we could give out, and also I can vouch for it myself. I mean, I'm not, I'm not a developer. I'm not a technical person. I do politics and econ, which is the furthest thing away from it. And now doing an internship at Bitpanda, which is one of the biggest exchanges. So um, definitely,
Congratulations on
like
that,
you were
man.
saying, thanks, man. No, I mean, it's definitely important for everyone to know that. Um, the non-technical side of things as well is very open. So definitely, I guess I guess question or I guess a tips or we can give to people. What would be your like 5 things that you would do if you are completely amateur? You don't know anything about anything blockchain crypto wise. Would there be even 2 or 3 things you would suggest? I mean, I'll put one out there and say join CBS Discord and also get a Discord account set up
Mm,
and a MetaMask wallet. That would be my first
hmm,
tip.
I agree. Those are really solid. Join the CBS Discord. I think the resources page on CBS is actually great. If you just
Yeah,
scroll all the way up and then scroll down, you can probably gain like information about most aspects of the industry, like NFTs. I've also posted like some really good beginners guides.
yeah,
Which link to simple things like the Bitcoin map, which will take you nearly a week to go through like properly.
hmm,
Ethereum white paper, there's you know just like what I usually think is great is getting involved in communities. So Discord is great, and also like finding a group of people close to you, like physically,
yeah.
and who are friendly, and just getting involved with those group of people, learning from them. They'll learn from you. That's the best way to do it. You definitely don't want to be alone. Just reach out, get involved in the community. That is great. And I am very bullish on in-person interaction. So
I can tell.
like it could be like that conference. Yeah, it was great with events. It was great with all of that. The point was to get the community together in person rather
Yeah,
than just talk on Discord. Yeah, I definitely think find someone that close to you. I think every major city in Europe now has like local crypto clubs
hmm,
or like blockchain clubs or something. So just reach out, be part of them, just start making friends. Second of all, there's loads of like generic readings you can do, which are great, give you an um, overarching view. First thing I'd suggest is the Bitcoin white paper. Second thing is Masari's sort of like thesis on 2022 that they posted in December,
yeah,
which I've spoken to Ryan a couple of times. He's an amazing guy. And like that sort of like gave it's not brief at all. It's 122 pages, I think. So it's not short at all. So take your
Yeah,
time with it. It will give you like, or you can use it as a guide. You know, if you're interested in NFT, just go to the
yeah,
NFT sections. That's one. I guess community is one. Bitcoin white paper is one. MetaMask wallet. Yeah, be careful with your money though.
yeah,
I'd say like
definitely.
once you are, interested, obviously interact with different DeFi protocols, make sure you know how it works. But like, there's lots of silly mistakes you can make. UI UX in crypto is still so bad. MetaMask is
Yeah,
horrible, man.
definitely.
Like I've fat fingered so many times. Like I once paid over $1,000 in just one single transaction on Ethan Gas,
Oh
which
no,
was
that's
just hurt me. And
yeah,
I've fat fingered to different wallets and I've lost money. Yeah, there's so many mistakes you can make. So like getting involved in the community will just probably like save you some money as well, so you don't make these mistakes.
yeah. Disclaimer: this is not financial advice.
None of it is fun. Like when you set up your MetaMask wallet, do with it whatever you want. But I'm a
Yes,
firm believer, if you're interested in something, and like time is the biggest investment you can make,
I agree.
right?
No,
I know
definitely.
people writing away like doing 5-figure trades and like doing large like I know people doing like large trades and not
Yeah,
researching properly. So like I think, oh, this is great, I think, for a podcast. Naval Ravikant, the
hmm,
entrepreneur and founder of AngelList, one of the one of my heroes. He actually
yeah,
once said, if you're first of all set an aspirational hourly rate, right? It needs to be as silly as you think, like the silliest thing. I mean, even last summer I worked for like Hermes, a delivery driver. I didn't really
yeah.
make much. Like I left in 10 days, but I made £220 in 10 days for 10 hours a day. So
Damn.
like nearly £2.20 an hour on average. So like yeah, I worked at a COVID testing center last summer, made about £8 an hour, but set the silliest hourly rate you can think of, but also a bit like realistic that you'll probably be able to get that in 2 years if you work really hard for it. For
Yeah,
me, it's like anywhere between 500 and $1,000 an hour. Set that rate, right? And then make sure that the things you read, well, or the things you interact with, sort of
mm,
meet that hourly rate. So like reading books, right? Like right now, I'm actually reading David Goggins' Can't Hurt Me. I'm listening to his audiobook. I'd recommend that to everyone. It's amazing how you step out of your comfort zones, and how you should step out of your comfort zone in
hmm,
places where you don't think um and how it can help you and how it can be an amazing return of investment, right?
yeah,
Of your time, or education, like learning like near web series. Do you want to learn more about near protocol development? Just do that. Do you want to learn solidity? Just do it.
yeah,
Amazing return on investment of your time. um but and then at the same time, if you think, like I used to be a tutor as well. I used to tutor A level and GCSE students for maths and physics.
yeah,
I loved it. Like right now I have one student. I'm not charging him, but like his GCSEs are close, so I can't really give up on him. But like I've stopped tutoring because
yeah,
I don't think it was like that good use of my time. But at the same time, I enjoyed it. It doesn't mean I didn't enjoy it. I also like
yeah.
working with high school students, so I gave like a series of like a talk at Leeds Grammar School in Leeds, where I am right now.
Nice.
So that's really like, I think if you are interested in something, invest your time and your money, or your time with your money. Like your
Yeah.
time is like the most valuable thing, and I should probably listen to my own advice as well.
No, I mean definitely. I mean, you touched on that you want to do Solidity this summer, so I'll make sure to.
Rust. I want
Oh
to learn
yeah,
Rust this summer.
really. Now Rust
Yeah,
Rust is definitely a cool language. I do think though, um, to be honest, if everyone learned JavaScript, obviously that's a big ask. But if you could learn JavaScript, you have a huge tool. You could do website development. You could definitely go into crypto and blockchain from there. You could definitely go into Solidity. So I would say also as a tip, if you're a bit nerdy and you like something that's a bit more technical, then definitely just try and learn the basics of JavaScript, and it would definitely elevate your understanding of how everything works.
or you kind of need it for Solidity as well.
Yeah.
And having that's why Solidity is great for like JavaScript based developers. Most web developers are JavaScript based.
Yeah.
So if you've got already a lot of experience in JavaScript and like web development, you'll catch on Solidity in no time. Like
Yeah.
syntax is easy. Like security wise, I mean, you already are. Yeah, you already th have thought about security as a web developer. But yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. That's a very good advice.
Nice. I guess that kind of finishes off that educational side, and I guess we'll come on to kind of what you do more. We spoke before, and you mentioned the product you're working on called Interface Finance. So yeah, I'd love you to speak more about that and kind of tell me more about it.
Actually, yeah, I'm not spending a lot of time on it recently because of studies. But
Hmm.
my friend Justin Kirk, he's a CEO and co-founder, but at the same time he's a medicine student, postgraduate medicine student at Cambridge. So Interface is like sort of like aiming to be the gateway to Web3, where you have a simple to use interface, simple to use front end, which sort of forms the interface between that your front end and Web3 in the back end. So
Okay.
like having having a platform where you can simply on-ramp cash, so deposit fiat money and get stables, have an easy to use like a custodial or non-custodial wallet solution, which is
Okay.
extremely decentralized and more secure, where you
Hmm.
own your own private keys,
Yeah.
and integrating that in the same platform as an investment sort of app, where you will also have like it would look like you are investing and getting interest in return. Like
Yeah.
there are some investment apps at the moment, I forget the names, like traditional investment apps. You just invest in a basket of things,
Yeah.
and you get 6% a year, 7%
Yeah.
a year.
Mm.
And in the back end, the real work is done where that money then gets deposited in like different liquidity pools and yield farms, and then
Nice.
that money is put to work and directly offered to the users. That's what we're trying to build, sort of like the gateway to decentralized finance, or the interface to decentralized finance.
Yeah.
And through this, you'll also be able to interact with loads of different decentralized exchanges like Uniswap, have a easy to use front end to the Uniswap app,
Yeah.
interact with liquidity pools on Uniswap through the interface token. Um, and yeah, so that's what it's sort of like similar to Argent, the wallet, but
Yep.
decentralized. Argent's not decentralized.
Yeah. No, it's not.
So bringing the power of decentralized finance to something that is like an app that is secure and well aims to be decentralized rather than having having an exchange wallet where you don't own your private keys, you can't interact with decentralized exchanges, you yeah, and as we can see, like you have to go through, interface. You will still have to go through KYC AML, but then there's also like things like restrictions on trading, and there's restrictions on withdrawals and so on, which usually is quite difficult. Obviously, interface wants to be regulatory compliant,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's one of the example of the projects that are coming out of the Cambridge ecosystem.
Mhm.
And like having access to UK based talent is what we are aiming to do.
Yeah.
Justin's great. So if you guys wanna, the guys listening, if you people wanna learn more, just visit Interface with int3 face.finance. No, interface, yeah, dot finance. Um, and the website is quite like old, outdated, but there is some contact information. If you guys
And
wanna,
I'll also leave it down below for anyone to access as well as a link, so people can look at it through there. Yeah, to be fair, I was looking at today. There was a Binance that just came out with a fiat on ramp. No, sorry, fiat
Mhm.
off ramp, where they take like institutional clients and they have an off ramp for any crypto that they own. So I think definitely being able to introduce fiat as an on ramp for the mass market would be very important. Because obviously, even if you have a MetaMask wallet, you still need to buy it from somewhere. You still need to buy it from a Coinbase or a Binance and then send it over. And then if you write in the wrong address or you don't know how to copy the address and put it in, then that's all gone. So even the concept of having like a hard wallet or having that kind of security, like you're saying with KYC or KYMC, is really important. And I definitely think, in my opinion, I don't know what you would say, Taran, but I think KYC is probably a little bit more needed um, in the crypto space at times, but
At
not all the
times, I
time.
mean, anonymity is sort of like the beautiful aspect to crypto, I guess, but at the same
Yeah.
time, you want to be as regulatory compliant. Regulation is quite good for the space. Good regulation. There's no such thing as good regulation. Regulation is regulation. But when
Yeah.
highlighting that the space is important, and which
Mm,
ongoing regulation does highlight that it is gaining traction and that it is going to be a like genuine industry rather than it just being like what we like most people point back to 2013 and 2016, where Bitcoin was mostly used in Silk Road and with the drugs and trafficking and whatnot,
yeah.
which you can't ignore. But at the same time, like lots of other industries were bootstrapped initially, um, and yeah, so I agree. I completely agree. So,
Yeah.
the future of crypto is looking like something like where, as I said earlier, like most of the major blockchains just disappear in the back end, like HTTPS and the World Wide Web did, and
Hmm.
just like application layer being visible to most users,
Yeah.
where there's smooth integrations with the protocol layer,
Yeah. No, definitely.
layers, multiple
Yeah,
layers.
multiple layers now. Multiple layers are going to be developed, but yeah, no, it's.
Yeah.
I definitely agree with your opinion there. I guess also, you could let me know some other projects you're working on, or if there's any you'd like to discuss, then it'd be great to hear.
I think the best one to discuss now is NFT.com.
Sure.
I've been involved in NFTcom only for a few weeks, but it's launching next month. It's sort of yeah, it's very very exciting. Where NFT.com is actually aiming to be a go-to platform for NFTs. It's
Okay.
built on a marquee sort of domain name. It's backed by like amazing founders, and like aiming to be a decentralized community of all things NFT. Initially, it will be a DAO governed NFT marketplace, and sort of like offering the value point for both creators and consumers and collectors. Um, obviously the domain name is quite a marquee asset, but off like offering one sort of go-to hub, basically the Facebook or something for NFTs, or the
Mm,
Google for NFTs, but like or Angel List sort of for NFTs, like offering
yeah.
that go-to platform rather than OpenSea. OpenSea has security issues. OpenSea is very centralized, a lot
Yeah.
of trading fees, and that's just revenue for the OpenSea company.
Yeah.
Looks rare, looks rare with its tokenomics, but at the same time offering that sort of ownership, use community-owned community-owned marketplace is great. And the
Yeah.
most exciting bit is that your profile will be owned by you. So NFT.com slash say Vade, the
Mm.
domain itself will be owned by you, like you own, if you
Like an
own
ENS.
ENS, like an
Yeah.
ENS basically.
Nice.
If you own Vade.eth, you own that domain, right? It offers
Yeah.
you ownership, where in the backend it is quite centralized, so it relies on an ENS-based entity to have ownership uh,
Okay.
of that domain itself. But if ENS itself is governed by a decentralized community,
Yeah.
it is a DAO. ENS is a DAO, and it gives you
Yeah.
ownership of that domain. NFT.com slash Vade will be owned by you, and it will be sort
Nice.
of like it will be an NFT that you own in your wallet. It will be tradable. And it will sort of initially be offered as a personal sort of NFT gallery and
Okay.
form the foundation for your online sort of presence and build out the Web3 social network that
Nice.
will be built later on. So yeah, initially it will consist of a down marketplace, your personal profiles, a directory,
Okay.
like a research hub or a directory, which will be sort of like a Google for NFTs,
Hmm.
researching all the major NFT collections and
Yeah.
like have like cross-chain data and analytics for all things NFTs.
Nice.
Basically like what CoinMarketCap does for tokens,
Yep.
offering that on the NFT on NFT.com. It'll
Very
also have a
nice.
launchpad for brand new, innovative creators. So like decentralizing access to communities and access to um, uh, financing and so on, bringing that community aspect, bringing NFTcom's community to various different artists and users and their communities. So
Yeah.
that's probably the most exciting. It's launching next month with Genesis keys.
Oh, nice.
And those Genesis keys will give users the right to mint NFT personal profiles.
Nice.
Um, that's yeah, it's looking like it's going to be sort of like there'll only be 10,000. It'll be completely scarce, and only the Genesis NFT holders will be able to mint user profiles for now.
Yeah. No, that's very cool. I mean, that sounds very cool. I mean, I could definitely see myself using it. I actually looked up my own ENS the other day, and it's really expensive. It's like I think it was about $800. I was like, that is a lot for an ENS, but that sounds very cool. I mean, I could definitely see a lot of people using it in terms of showing off their Bored Apes, or showing off their CryptoPunks, or kind of taking their gallery and personalizing it. And I guess two questions I had. A, would it be in the metaverse, or would it purely be a platform? And two, it's not a question, it's more concept, which, I mean, I guess we can discuss it another time, but it's interesting to consider. I actually spoke to someone earlier this week, and they spoke about using an NFT for capture, but in terms of a wallet. So instead of having to log in, because every single time you go into MetaMask for a transaction, you have to log in, and then there's sometimes two-step verification. So it'd be interesting to definitely have some sort of capture, or like a recapture NFT for your MetaMask wallet. That's just concept. But yeah, I'd love to hear if you guys would ever introduce that as a metaverse gallery type of thing.
Maybe down the line. I think the team is quite tied up actually forming the tech, like building that marketplace, making sure that it's extremely secure, and launching, like building a community around it. That's what we are doing. Some of the founders, like some were founders of large Web3 projects like Reserve, Hedera, Good Money, and some were MIT graduates and so on. So there's very, very strong NFT collectors within the initial community as well. Like some of the founding partners are going to be like Cosmo. Cosmo is one of the world's largest NFT collectors. He bought
Yeah.
an NFT for like 2,000 ETH nearly a few weeks ago, which is crazy.
Yeah.
And the founding team has like some of the rarest Bored Apes.
Wow.
So for now, it is going to be like the go-to NFT platform. Obviously, Metaverse NFTs form the basis for the Metaverse.
Yeah.
So having that sort of like as a next step would be great. But we are hoping, like, we are extremely certain that NFT.com will be sort of like a marquee website like crypto.com or google.com or facebook.com or
Yeah.
some of the larger like amazon.com 10 years, 20 years down the line.
Yeah. I mean, definitely,
Yeah,
just purely by domain. Hey, I could definitely see
purely
myself
by domain,
searching
but also
NFT.
forming their reputation as well.
Yeah, definitely. I
Yeah,
mean, having I know OpenSea recently raised, I think they had like a $13 billion valuation, and obviously has to come from somewhere.
crazy,
It
right?
can't pluck the number out
Crazy.
of the air. So the revenue that they're making has to be quite sizable, definitely.
Huge. Like
So yeah,
I sometimes think how much revenue Axie Infinity does, right? Like
yeah,
they charge 5.25% trading fees on each transaction. NFT.com, it will just be 1%.
wow,
And that 1% gets distributed to Genesis key holders. So
that's cool.
all of it, 100% of that, will be distributed to. It will be no like off that 1%, 50% is gone to some treasury, but like
Yeah,
overall gets distributed to the treasury and the Genesis key holders. So
nice.
that's quite that's the sort of the vibes we're going for. Not
Yeah,
corporate, not transparent, not opaque, but fully transparent, fully community governed.
yeah.
And yeah, sort of like also initially launched by the founding community, the first sort of
Mm.
1,000 people who got involved.
Yeah, and then obviously as the NFT like ecosystem expands into Solana and Polygon, I'm sure you guys will keep up with that, and that'll be cool to see other chains on there too. Yeah, I guess. I
Yeah.
guess if yeah, I think that's everything covered. If you want to talk about any other projects, then um, do go for it.
No,
But
I think this was amazing. This was my first podcast actually ever. So
you did pretty well. It's mine too, but I think
no,
hopefully listeners will be impressed. I think it was pretty
no,
good.
I think everyone, guys, like Ved is doing an amazing thing by bootstrapping this. Sort of like offering a platform for people, it's like initially in the UK, in blockchain who are doing things. So I'm definitely very supportive. Well done, Ved. It was my pleasure to be on. Uh, yeah, it was great. It was a good conversation, very good conversation.
No, thank you to you, Taran, as well for your time. I know you're a busy man. You've got lots of projects like we were talking about to attend to. So no, and it's been really cool, obviously, to attend the event and meet you. And like you were saying, you're very bullish on in-person meetings. So evidence is shown through this. So no, thanks for your time. Thanks for the conversation. It's really great. And obviously, everyone who's listening, all the links about everything we've discussed will be down below. So um, if you want to check anything out, or I'll leave also Taran's Twitter below and everything else. So yeah, just reach out. I think we're both very open to any conversations you guys have or questions. So yeah, cool.
All right,
And yeah,
perfect. See you guys soon. Thanks, Ved.
perfect.
My pleasure.
Thanks. Thanks for listening to Cryption, everyone. Take care.